My name is Will Fell, and for my digital arts capstone, I animated paintings from art history to show off the techniques artists had used to create their masterpieces. To start, we're going to begin in ancient Greece to see how the artists of the time painted on vases, as vases were a common export. They used what is referred to as black figure, which is a technique where vases were painted with slip and then heated in a kiln to create artwork to create black figures like you see on the vase. First, they would paint the vase with slip, and then they would fire it into a kiln. The oxygen would interact with this iron in the slip to create red. They would remove the oxygen from the kiln, which would turn the vase to a solid black color with the slip melting together. And when they reintroduced oxygen, they were able to produce black, red, and white like the vase you see now. In the medieval era, artwork was primarily religious in nature, as it was mainly commissioned by churches. Most of the surviving artworks of the era are illuminated manuscripts, which were handwritten books with painted decoration that generally included precious metals such as gold or silver. In the animation, you can see a monk writing into a manuscript. You can see the decoration of the text and the imagery associated in this religious passage. Moving on to the Renaissance, artists used more mathematical techniques to create their artworks. For instance, they developed the idea of one-point perspective, which is a drawing method that shows how things appear to get smaller as they get further away, converging towards a single vanishing point on the horizon line. In the animation, we have our vanishing point, the horizon line, some lines to develop the foreground. You can see the lines led to help create depth for the people. And then finally, we can see lines going in to help create the illusion of depth for a background. In the Baroque era, artists continued to strive for a sense of realism in their artworks. This time they focused on the concepts of light and dark, and developed chiaroscuro, a technique employed to represent light and shadow as they define three-dimensional objects. In this animation, we start out very bright to remove the shadows, and as we darken it, you can see how the shadows help create a sense of realism and depth to the figure. In contrast to these realistic styles, a new style had emerged, referred to as Impressionism. Impressionism depicts the appearances of objects through small strokes of paint in order to create the impression of the object. Rather than being heavily detailed, these artists use these small brush strokes to give you the idea that there was an object there. In the animation, we can see a background, brush strokes to create the water, the rising of the sun, and small brush strokes to create a boat. Impressionism encouraged artists to think outside the box and helped to lead to the development of Cubism. Cubism is a painting style that reduces subjects to their geometrical forms. As we can see in Picasso's Guernica, we can see these abstract shapes he had created and then filled in with detail to help create his image.